Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I thought I'd get some tarot up in here so the information can flow, so we can be in recognition of the energies that I feel around us, within us, coming to us, coming from us, etc., etc. So this is just loosely around the next few weeks. I've pulled some cards already, going to be clarifying throughout. I want to speak about something that just came quite clearly the other night, and it's, I think it'll be a more developing vision, thought process, thought form, in that it struck me that the electromagnetic field around people has changed. Now, I mentioned these changes before these things were introduced that I felt coming down the line. And it's not just to do with these things, but it struck me that it is no mistake that the black goo that I mentioned, and knowing there was something coming of that, and we find that that's a derivative of a component of the, and it's a programmable matter. It is, it can be like a bridge in matter. And I mentioned that between dimensions maybe can help open up gateways, or indeed transfer information across the gateways of dimensions. There's been more that has come to that way of thinking, to be honest, over the last 2 years. It is no mistake to me also that this, in my feeling, it would distort or change the electromagnetic field emitted from a person. And so, again, no mistake that the cerns around us rely heavily on magnets. They rely so much on magnets. It's one of the main components, in that it can't be a mistake that when much of the experimentation that is going on is to collect data, data being something I spoke about a while ago, that it is data, and it is at this time we'll really see storylines about time travel that will probably have things pop up in our own lives or close to us, regarding questions of whether somebody is time traveled, because, you know, using data, using that code, in my feeling, can give you an interjection point with far more perfection than you would without that data. So the likes of walk-ins and things like that really increasing, because over the past, what is it, 20 years, the development of the internet, the real development in our public eye, the amount of data collection that has been going on. Now it's stepped up a notch, hasn't it? It's this biometric data collection, which for a long time has been a gold rush in the billionaires market, for sure. And that has been trickling down into the millionaires market. The data is a fine, it's a fine commodity for those that can afford it. And it is a great, flashing a bit, it is a great commodity for corporations, because of the amount of control and predictive nature of business plans they can have with said data, with said trends, being able to even maybe pay in order to internally manipulate somebody's thought process. I've got the windows wide open because it's so warm, and there's every noise on the street, which is usually a really quiet street. And so all of that was coming to me, and the magnets, or the magnetization of a person, really would count for something in a big section of the experimentation that is being carried out by the CERNs around us right now. It does talk to those people being a bridge. And when I spoke about them building that false realm, that sort of come down the line, but also using these bridges, hijacking the energy, which is nothing new, bypassing the energy of an individual or many individuals, which is nothing new, in order to create a strong enough energetic bridge somehow into other dimensions, other realities. So it's very interesting and unfolding, and obviously very deep and very far from the indoctrinated teachings that we are given as to what is possible, and what is attainable. Because if we knew more of what was possible, we for sure would be asking the question, just because it's possible, does it make it so? Does it make it that we have to sort of colonize it, or we have to strip it of its wares, or we have to push our way in, or would we then question what is possible? And therefore, would that give us more impetus as a collective to boot these people, these few that are in control of a lot of these possibilities? I think both would be true. So there is a lot of script writing really coming down the pipeline right now to sort of make these possibilities more known in order to get ahead of it a bit, but also to be able to really manipulate the storyline and energy, hijack the energy, divert the energy from ever really contemplating or understanding even those possibilities that are being put in front of our face, like the internet. There was very confined and very set parameters on the teachings of the possibilities of this grand new machine, which could have fantastic powers, but with that, the most destructive powers also. And we see that type for type, we see that on the internet, the destructiveness of it and the tool of destruction that it can be used as. But also we do see that beauty that keeps shining through real connections, through people with real intent to put something out there that is honest, whether that's an honest day's work as a tradesman, small business, an honest way of earning, you know, without trying to fleece people, or whether that is honest in its intention to lift people up, raise people up, connect people together. And so it's that with great power and possibilities does become great responsibility. And still now the distractions are enough. Although they're getting weaker, they are enough to distract even the truth seekers and divert that energy away from really understanding, because you can hear something washed over yourself, meme after meme after meme. You would have to be a very strong, intentful person every day if you allow yourself to be drenched in that information overload. You will get desensitized to it. And so you could even repeat or parrot a major truth that would lead to great power, a need for responsibility of a being. And because you compare it, it does not mean you can understand it, because if the truth is going to come out anyway, it's better to drench somebody in it so they feel like it's just a given, they're desensitized to the true power and impact of it, the possibilities of it. And so they, you know, don't actually ever really truly harness it. It's not their own, it's just a repeated distraction, hijack, energy hijack that somebody has given to them or fed to them. And so yeah, off on that tangent, those kinds of layers of energies coming through. And warnings to have a heads up about it as to, let's get into these cards. So we have got the Star card, Star card, Major Arcana. Note the pool and 1 foot in that pool and 1 jug, obviously, pouring into that pool, simultaneously grounding the body with the knee and the other foot being the connection points to the land. If you see, she's made a connection point in this card with the outer elbow of the arm that is holding the jug, pouring the water, the emotional body, into the pool. She's actually resting that elbow on her knee. So she's anchoring in to that emotional body, that intuitive body, the subconscious. And then she's anchoring in to the land. With the knee and the foot. If you see here, the way that the jug that is pouring onto the land is more depicted as you can feel it running off into the pool again. So there's like this overflow. And in the Star card, you can see that she's naked, and she's really channeling the energy of the stars, but also the stars are really channeling for me the energy of her in the energies that I'm feeling right now, in that it's a circuit board. This card always really shows me a circuit board. And so the stars are shining that much brighter, even because of the connection points and the anchor points that she is making below them. And so that as above, so below, because, you know, she becomes this shining one, glowing. And so this is about creating flow, and it's about creating flow amongst mostly an aftermath of things that have needed to be really truly looked at, really truly given the opportunity to be aired, and there's oxygen being used. When you pour in those jugs, you're creating those ripples, you're collecting air bubbles, you're creating movement. And so there's an oxygenation, there's life being breathed to old scars very often in the lead up to this card showing up, in that there are so many layers of, and when people say, but I healed from that, I did so well, and it's like, yes, you did. And yes, you didn't. In that the layers of pain and trauma, especially the way this particular reality has been set up for so long, the levels of pain and trauma of any given experience is it's multifaceted. Anybody knows who's been through a breakup, who's lost somebody that they cared about, who's lost somebody that they despised, has been abandoned from a loving parent or even an abusive parent, there is no set emotional time. Those emotions don't come on time. They don't make a date in your diary and say, I'll visit you at 1 o'clock, anger coming in and saying, well, I'll bet at that and I'll visit you at 2, when emotional flow, tears, sadness has ended. I'm going to come in, and is that okay? Yeah, well, 3, I'll bring in the love. It doesn't work like that. It's in waves. It comes over you in waves. You hear people saying, how are you? And they'll say, I don't know. It comes over me in waves. And so with each wave, it's multifaceted, because it's every emotion in the mix. Just depends which ones are the most prominent during that experience. And as you go forward, the sort of indoctrination of finalization of everything, there being a finish line and ending, and that goes way up the spiritual game of keeping people in a conformed manner, is that those layers are there. You've transmuted them maybe over a period of many different experiences that you've then drawn upon them, but there might just be something in your experience in the present or recent past that triggers just one of the layers that wound, that experience represents, and up comes that wave, and it can often attract in the other energies that were prominent in that experience during a past or present time. And so it's about being able to not be afraid of those pains and those wounds, and not even boxing them in. Like, you're told not to box in your flow, you're told not to box in your heart, your love. You can't box in, choose those layers of self and then decide to box in tears and say, well, you're not allowed to come up anymore because I healed from that. It's like, no, it's okay to feel that again, to remind yourself of the scars that in this energy you've gotten to know so well. For a lot of people right now have felt forced almost to know so well. And so it's not a failure, it's not a step back, it's not a setback, it's actually you utilizing something in the most raw form, being able to recognize same energetic imprints coming through the present energies that you're facing as in the past, but being able to draw on them in a different kind of way, to be able to take steps to get ahead and be able to transmute the current energies alongside the energies that they bring up in you without losing it, without externalizing it, but being able to be this powerful being, this divine feminine being, and to be able to channel it and not only charge yourself, charge the water, charge the land, but also charge the stars and vice versa. It's reciprocal, this card, in that when you find a way to submit to emotions, good and bad, to be that goddess energy that can be submissive and powerful in doing so, knowing that there is nothing to hide from self, that whatever might be being experienced right now, there is nothing to be embarrassed of how you respond to it. If it's a negative response, then the honesty and purity of this card will reward you of like, where did I step wrong there? How did I go, how did I not get the best of that situation? I've been through this before. What do I need to draw on? And the same goes for whether you have a positive response to truly being able to draw that with inside self as well, analyze that and have it as another layer of you that you're not afraid of. It's very, very deep. It's this badass goddess like energy. It's this Shakti energy. It's ancient, and it is in remembrance of a lot of people right now. And it's through the opposition that a lot of these people who are feeling this intensely right now, it's the opposition that is actually highlighting this energy and drawing more of it in, and exuding more of it out. It's the opposition that has, for many, put them in this space of finally either through just having enough or just a sense of calmness amongst the chaos. It's this enormous being that is able, it's enormous energy within people, that is able to encapsulate and indeed charge the stars. And it is that energy of the hidden, the spirit of the divine feminine energy, moving so obviously amongst the collective and in individuals, but so subtly too. And so we've got the Eight of Swords that comes after the Star card. And so this would speak of, you can see here, this lady is bound, she's blindfolded, and the swords would represent air, thoughts, words. You know, it would speak to for me right now, the infinite nature of the divine feminine energy still being blocked by many of those who are capable, who are enormous enough to truly channel this energy. And so the Eight of Swords would speak of being bound, it feeling so physical, the binds that people are in, it feeling so suffocating, so what's the word, vulnerable to outside forces, because the senses have been cut off by this overthink, by these thought forms that have been sent out very successfully to many. And these thought forms feel like physical bars. They feel so physical around so many people right now, but actually they are not. They are air, they are words. They are only as physical as you give them space to be. And that's going to be really challenging, because when you haven't got the physicality of those bars, you also have to be able to ease your frustration at the fact that these thought forms, these bars, these prison bars that have been put up are organza to you. You can see that they're there. You can see how they are constructed to give the projection of a cell. But at the same time, because many are still in the very physical form of those thought forms around them, that you're sort of having to be among the chaos that ensues around that, the fear, a lot of the fear porn, over watering people with these thoughts, just drenching them with these thought forms. And that is going to become particularly driven towards the narrative on all ends and sides. Truth and movement, yeah, in there. Religious setups, organizations in there. Politics in there, in that category too, highly. Science in there too, highly. And this is coming at a walls closing in type of feeling towards not only divine feminine, as has been done by organized religion for a very long time now, but the woman that represents the divine feminine energy on this, in this physical space. And so that being bound, and many spells being put out there, very powerful spells being put out there, trying to continually keep that divine feminine energy, particularly within women, bound and gagged and blindfolded to the real powers. And in doing this, it also speaks of, even and somewhat to the most highest degree, the way that they've hijacked the feminist movement, the way that they have given the illusion of fighting for women's rights, but actually the whole time put in these thought forms, these prison bars around women and men alike, to say that women want to be more like men. They never really fought for a space of a reflection of women in all of these systems, as in women in a space that is naturally inclined to the energies that women can deliver. No, it had to be squeezed into a patriarchal box in order to be reflected in any of these systems, therefore diluted at best, zero divine feminine energy running through these systems, or a negligible amount in comparison to the very negative patriarchy that is charged up in these systems. So a real attack coming down the line for that. The whole witches storyline all over again. A lot of the blood magic, satanic type meme energies coming through. Again, not saying that doesn't happen, of course it does, but it's ironic that it is happening in certain organized religions. It is happening in the systems and certain experiments that have been going on for a very long time, in particular the last 2 years. So it's hidden in plain sight, but the projection is very strong right now in the energies that we're coming up into. The projection and the illusion of it being found amongst the communities of peoples that live under those powers, under those systems, is going to be so strong. And it is going to be intense and relentless. And it really does speak of doing the work to women to be the strongest and the most ultimate depiction of your version of channeled star energy, of your version of divine feminine energy, and be the true reflection of that in your personal life. The way you treat yourself, the way you treat your children, the way you treat other people's children, the way you treat your partners, your friends. Shine bright, really do, so that you can burn holes, burn, light rays through those thought forms that feel so physical, like prison bars. And there's celebration in that with the Three of Cups coming up after that. And this would speak of a lot of divine feminine energy, a celebratory nature, a restoration, a rejuvenation, and a rejoicing energy. And this is where the divine feminine energy on the converse for all of that warning I've just given is so strong right now. It's this stirring, it's this ancient energy waking up, and for those that are channeling it really powerfully, like a sorceress type energy rising up from within them. And that creates a bond. People are starting to see each other with those energies and with those possibilities to channel this kind of energy. But it does speak of being so discerning about where you put your energy and being very careful to not be tricked even into thinking you're doing a good thing by projecting a certain thought form out there, being able to see through those tricks. And so this celebratory energy is for those that are really truly connecting up, both telepathically, spiritually, physically, with people who there is a trust there, and it's an energetic trust. It's on the physical space, it's on the from the body movements that they make, it's on a spiritual plane, it is on a algorithmic energy too, in that you're just thinking of each other at the same time, or you're phoning each other right at the same time, those kinds of connections that keep coming through. And you feel this energy of rejuvenation when you've been with them in their presence, in spirit, telepathically or physically. They don't pull you down, they lift you up into this three, this healing, this hope, this connectedness. And so with that, we've got the number five, the Hierophant, the high priest, basically, a very masculine energy, very divine masculine energy, sorry. So we've got the divine feminine energy, and his counterpart would be the high priestess, but in this reading, his counterpart very much is the Starks. We've got them bookending the reading. And so the number five signifies change. There's something about the number five for me, because it comes up later on in the cards, if you're still with me. I know this is a long reading, but I've missed you all, and I've missed getting this information out. And so this five, with this Hierophant, you can see here on the card, there's these people listening. They're standing below the Hierophant, and they're listening with the bald, funny patches on their head. And this was a sign of enlightenment going in, and that they would be, blessed for the most part by this divine knowledge that they were trusted with. And so they didn't want any blocks there for that to be, it's symbolic, but also energetic too. And we've got him holding his staff with the Trinity on it. So it brings you back to that the Three of Cups. And we have the two fingers pointing up, and his feet firmly on the ground, but pointing outwards, directed at the people who this divine masculine energy deems fit to share the knowledge with. And it is all about sharing the knowledge and the wisdom to use that knowledge. And this is where great powers and abilities within ancient knowledge would be shared, but also coveted. And we have a energy where this masculine energy, not so divine, but masculine energy has been really holding on to this knowledge, using this ancient knowledge to progress in the present. But at the same time, there is also this divine masculine energy that has been, so that's more for the negative side of the way things have been set up. But this star energy that comes before it is charging up the divine masculine in women, and in a way that is not the depiction of what the masculine has conditioned to be, but a more pure form, like the divine feminine that's coming through, a more pure form of divine masculine that does not feel challenged by the divine feminine, and vice versa. They know they can work in opposition, and they like that because it is, and I'm saying they for want of better English, they know that that's the opposing force that would ultimately lift and grow and propel energy, recycle energy. And so there is this balance that is happening in a lot of people too. So you may have been on this spiritual righteous indignation recently or over the last few months, where there is a place for that, but maybe it's been being overly expressed. And that time would be to stop casting those pearls before swine, your knowledge before people who are just going to trample on it or distort it and use it for negative intent. This would be when you would really understand that message. And so, because this sort of righteous indignation, this spiritual righteous anger has been well deserved, but maybe misplaced. And even within communities such as these movements, basically you've seen that knowledge be used just like age-old organized religions have used that knowledge, distorting it to fit a certain narrative or a certain want or need for power. But within the people that are really feeling these energies in a very pure form, this is where this ancient divine masculine knowledge and the divine feminine intuitiveness to use that knowledge and use it with wisdom that is coming through, it feels so integrated within you. You can feel it through your DNA, you can feel it through your bones. But at the same time, it is not to be underestimated. It really is important to stay not in conflict, but in flow with the changing perspectives and perceptions that you have in your own life with this star energy of, again, not being corralled into a mindset or putting yourself in a mindset of, I fixed that, I've done that, and seeing things more in the way of cycles and everything having an effect on everything. And that works backwards and forwards. It's a constant energetic dance and feedback. And so, but with this 5 regarding the wider stage, I'll tell you what I'm picking up is that, you know, that this is to do with applying and channeling the energy of many to use that energy and force like a battering ram into spaces that it didn't belong. And again, pushing a distorted religious stroke, new religion stroke science view on the way a reality, a dimension should be. A feeling of there's a dance here between feminine and masculine, and divine feminine and divine masculine, and they both can feel and look very similar in certain situations, in that some of this divine feminine energy that is coming up, it is as black as the depths of the sea, where you don't see your hand in front of your face, where you have to feel, and the feel that you get from some of these depths within you and around you is a force. It is of rage, because it is coming up in people as an opposition to complete and utter passivity. Is that the word? Passivity, is that the right way to say it? I don't know, but being a very passive nature to the point of negligence. And so it could feel in the depiction of, under the guise of organized religion, it could be viewed as a very dark, wrathful, awful energy. And it is not. It is an energy that is meeting an opposing force. And so that could be labeled as very, very dark, but at the same token, what is said to be for light, let's say everybody just saying namaste without understanding the lessons behind that, and the feelings behind that, you know, would be of a passive nature. It would stop a revolution. It would stop people connecting with this Three of Cups quite as much, through fear of being connected to that energy, this ancient energy of, I feel, what the mother was before this opposing, controlling force that was met through the minds of the many, you know, by distorting what it is and what it represents and how it cares. And again, put in very human like feelings onto these ancient energies doesn't really apply. They don't compare, because they're just raw. They just are. They're not as distorted, and they're not apologetic. So powerful energies, to say the least, thus far. And this video might be going on a bit, and I do apologize if it's not enjoyable. I want it to be enjoyable, because this is like for those that are feeling these energies and sort of getting them, just really just knowing them, still being in awe of them, but you know, just knowing them, there is this feeling of celebration, of connectedness, of feeling charged up, feeling calm, and certainly not feeling bored or lost in direction. It's like a lot of these energies are giving many people a sense of peace, like the compass has stopped spinning in their lives. They're not sort of looking in all directions at all options. There's a calmness, but a firmness in the knowledge and experience gained, and the knowledge and experience that is coming through the ancestral lines. So it's really, you know, like powerful, powerful, powerful. But it very much is powerful for those who are feeling it that way. And it's not to be taken lightly, because there are so many things that are going to challenge that peace and that calm over the next few weeks. There are weird things, fantastical things, like literally glitches, seemingly, in reality. To new animals being talked about or discovered, maybe popping in from other dimensions, more like. But it is going to bring about that knowledge that you need to be able to harness the star energy, and that even for those who have been really connected into seeing through the veil, are going to be challenged by either understanding the depths of older truths just in a different way, or a bit deeper, or connecting certain dots of control, of abuse, and how it works as a commodity. And these institutions, it's like, are you ready to be challenged by everything? Are you willing to be challenged by most of what in the 3D you have felt connected to? Are you willing to be challenged by truths about armies, about troops, that you've been indoctrinated and gladly taken up and absorbed, because it gives you at least some peace about something terrible? You feel like your country's going in to save them, the precious young men and women, are something to be very proud of, and their hearts are something to be very proud of, but not for what they're being used for. Are you ready to be absolutely challenged by the fact that your army isn't what you've sort of allowed yourself to be conditioned to think it is? It is not a savior that sits up on high above all of the armies, let's say. Are you willing to really be challenged about the patriarchy that you feel towards a flag? Are you willing to be challenged by the truths of all organized religious, or what have been made into be organized religion or religion-like things? Are you willing to be challenged by the governing bodies of all of these different things, from the natives to the Germans to the UK citizens, to the even down, I think the Aboriginals are pretty safe out of this, but you know, to churches of Christianity, the levels of depravity in the top upper echelons of all of them, without exception, including those that reside in Israel. Are you willing to be challenged by that? That most of what you have been indoctrinated to feel truly connected to, or frightened to speak out about, is going to be called into question. Are you willing to release the conditioning of that? Are you able to channel and harness that information from the stars above you, which would be the divine masculine energy, into that divine feminine vessel, and really hold those disillusions of illusionment within you. Even if it challenges an aspect of you which you've made into you, that you have conformed so much to, that you have enveloped, and it is a part of you. Are you ready for that? Because those are the kinds of truths and energies that I feel coming up, but they feel like from the underground. Like it's going to be challenging to find the diamonds, to find the crystals. You're going to have to be ready to sift through a lot of mud, and willing to wash away that mud, representative of the conditioning, in order to see these crystals, these diamonds beneath it. And when those that are ready to feel that, even though you felt levels of unity before, and oneness and connectedness, there will be, with this Three of Cups, a level of and a feeling of connectedness and celebration in that connectedness, realizing that unity represented by those crystals or diamonds feels immense, because with this Eight of Swords, it is so apparent that heart to heart, energy to energy, without these manipulations of a few that have built systems and constructs to make it look and feel like many. Real unity is a bliss. It's a rejoicing. It's a respectfulness of the difference in cultures, without feeling, again, challenged by it in a bad way, but challenged by it in a good way, with that divine feminine of the divine masculine, with the Hierophant coming in with that divine masculine knowledge, and that divine feminine being able to be brave enough and non-egotistical enough to be naked with that wisdom and knowledge, and see how it applies. So super, super powerful energies. And I say all of that because what came out next was the Five of Wands, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Five of Swords. So the Five of Wands being fire, and it is of conflict. But it's of a distractionary nature. It is look over here, no, look over here. And people forgetting actually the roots of what their conflict is rooted in, which would speak in a very much quicker way about everything I've just said prior to saying that. But this five, again, it's a changing point. Because of this conflict, sparks will fly. Fire might erupt, quite literally, and that will be reflected more and more. Whether it is man-made, weather-made, whatever, we'll see it, and we'll see it in our individual lives too, where there is these energetic cords being pulled to try and animate a conflict out of you. And this is where through that you see people, through that you're going to see people's real intentions, their real grit, their real core, for good and bad. And with that, we've got this Ten of Pentacles in the middle of that, and that would be the land grab the territory of the body, the territory of land itself, the territory of wealth, abundance, the Ten of Pentacles being absolute provision and plenty of provision that is available, a richness in life, in land, in matter, in food, you know, a richness of commodities. And these distractions, whether they be in your personal life, people around you constantly trying to be or pull you down into this lack mentality. It could be even lack of love in a physical relationship, and that may be being interfered with outside forces, causing this drama. But this lack mentality is desperately, the people involved in this desperately trying to get your attention and keep your attention while land grabs are taking place, both this body, children's bodies, and physical land, provision of food. And it is all a distraction, that actually those commodities, this physical space, however it's being created, is bountiful. And is not running out, but is actually, in my feeling, increasing its circulation, expanding itself out like a bloated womb. And so be really careful about what you're getting distracted by and who you're getting distracted by. With that Eight of Swords, things might look really, truly real, but the illusion is strong, my friend. The perception game is on. And so you'll see that in every layer and aspect of life, guaranteed. So again, be careful who you follow into conflict, because you may just be robbing yourself of territory, sovereign territory, and also in doing so others, by helping create this noise in one direction when somebody should be projecting their intent and energy in the complete opposite direction. So where the distractions, look for them, you'll see them. When you can ask yourself the question, does this conversation, does this interaction, does this contract feel lacking in any sense of the word? Is there an energy of lack to this? Is there a lackluster to this conversation? Is there a lack of information? Is wherever there is lack and that is being highlighted to you when you ask yourself this question, look the other way. Guarantee you it will be better for you to look the other way. Use this as an aid, as an indicator, an energetic red flag to say there's something over there for you to look at that is abundant. And again, question the energy, question yourself. Does this feel abundant? Does this feel bountiful? Or does this feel lacking? And change your direction to suit, but be following that abundance trail. No matter how hard these distraction techniques hit you in your personal life and on the wider stage, because these distractions are going to come in hot and heavy, but to be grounded in a more traditional sense of ancestral knowledge and wisdom is to be able to see this for what it is, this distraction technique. Why? Because there is much to play for. There are dimensions to play for. There is land to play for, food provision, enjoyment of this physical reality to play for because of a bountiful perception and acceptance of that bounty around us. With that, we've got that book ended with another 5, and that would be the Five of Swords. And you can see here it's a bit more brutal. Those words cut. Those words can lead to huge conflicts, and you can expect that with this sort of land grab. And again, it's another thing I spoke about a while ago of Iran, Russia, India, and China. And there seems to be alliances quietly building up there in the background more and more and more. Especially from the UK, I would not put it past them to really start ringing war bells or aggravating the truth towards that narrative, to get people to buy into, on either side, the illusionary land grab, while the real land grab and inheritance, true inheritance, ancestral inheritance, ancient inheritance, to be a part of and help guardian this physical space is going on. And so that will also be reflected down into our individual lives. And so different people are going after different land grabs, aren't they? That there is those that want to take from your reserve in order to just build a reserve of power of their own. They're seeing an energetic niche point, a point where they can jump in to a space. And again, the abundance is in the middle, and literally these people are stepping over that to fight from a lacking position. But if enough of that disconnection is happening, if these people who are involved in the Five of Wands and Five of Swords aren't successful in grabbing your attention and pulling it into whatever lack mentality it is that they're selling, then that Ten of Pentacles is very clearly in the middle of it. So where you're being pulled into a sense of lack, there is, for a lot of you, a sense of abundance right in the middle of that. Solutions that come up for those distractions, even if they aren't real, there are business opportunities for people to sell solutions. That doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Do what you need to do. It might be that you can sell solutions by, using that illusion to your advantage and actually be doing a great thing, like providing food in a different way with less travel time, with less fuel having to be used. There are niches to be had here. And the five with the 10 in the middle, that would be, there is such a strength and a possibility for endings of cycles, of huge, long drawn out cycles, and a welcoming of an abundant cycle of a true connectedness with each other and with nature, and utilizing the skill sets and properties of both to really create very different value systems, very different ways of provision without damage, very different balance points and balance sheets of hierarchy of people and importance of people. These dogs, everything's going great. The energy is lit, and animals are speaking for sure. Even alarms, car alarms, there's like sirens going off. We are charging up, and just like poltergeist type energy, when especially when you get children, prepubescent children who are very charged up, they literally can, have witnessed it, make things fall off the wall as they pass through, because it's just like they're energy ball around them is so strong and so like chaotic that they can fling things off without them, and they get frightened thinking they're getting attacked. And it's like, no, you just yeah, energy's like comes in like a wrecking ball, dear. And you know, it's you. It's a you problem. It feels like that, very much so, and that is happening with car alarms, with sirens. We're setting things off. So we've got the strength card, and again, I can't over stipulate the feeling of what goes up must come down energy, but also opposing forces energy, and that being a uncomfortable thing at times, even in the most riveting way, in that, you know, sometimes you're in the process of a connected magical moment, and the pleasure cannot be almost too much, almost the same energetic reading as I can't take this too, but I don't want this to end. It's that kind of balance and energy. It's a very fine balancing point. It's charged, it's supercharged. And so be aware that over the next few weeks with this, speaking of that sort of poltergeist type energy with prepubescent children, many of us are like prepubescent children energetically right now. And, you know, working well to get to grips with this strength card of balancing that energy and utilizing that energy in a powerful and correct manner with the divine feminine, being the poison grace for the divine masculine, to take action at the right time, and to be guided by the principles of the divine feminine, being put in its rightful space in order for the divine masculine to use it as a superpower, as a guide, as an intuitive guide, to conserve strength, to relax in a knowing of I'm going to be activated when I need to pounce. And I trust my divine feminine driver to be in connection with the all in order to give me that guidance as to when to pounce. This then being reflected in the man and woman in this physical space. And where I say us taking up our spaces in the retrospective divinities, that again should not be mistaken for fixed energy. These are malleable energies that work in conjunction in an opposition both at the same time, and should not naturally be opposing forces in ways of anger or jealousy or insecurity, but actually in admiration, respect, and loyalty, both within you and reflected without you in your relationships. And so there is this, I wish I could find the words to express the availability for a balance of divinities within, for those that can harness this energy, being so open and receptive to you right now. You hear the cat, the animals are talking. It's crazy. And I had a thought today. I know, Mitmit, I'm talking about you. That's not the nicest position to be in. like I was thinking today with Mitch was talking away, and I said to her, I said, did you always talk to me this much? Or am I just hearing you more? Am I just more receptive to your voice now? Or is it because I'm more receptive to hearing you that you're speaking more? Because I'm giving you the space to do so. She didn't really give me an answer because she's a cat. But it's there. However, it's there. It's there. The animals are speaking. And so this celebratory energy of connectedness with all of this information that I've given, and I hope I've given it in a constructive enough way for it to be understood, is not just human to human. It is like connectedness to the animals, to the plants, to the soil, to the everything. It's immense. So where on the opposing forces there is a breaking down and a limitation to language in order to create this land grab opportunity, there is an expansiveness of language that is being almost completely ignored by the mainstream media type community or peoples. That they're thinking all along that they've got to stop the connectedness and the talking between us. And they've got to limit the words that we can use to limit this uptake of these energies that are around us right now. And all the while, we're being fed new languages cross species. It makes me laugh when I realize things like that, because it just makes me think, yeah, I've done this dance before. The hijack's been going on so long, many of us have. And when I spoke about at the start of all of this and got some heat about it being a repeating the cycle of World War II, unfolding still of the tactics of World War II, where the real evil hides under the cape of victimhood. And again, people get so distracted on that narrative and are frightened to go into the depths of where they hide, and the victimhood or the victims that they, the genuine victims that they caused in order to even create that cape of victimhood for them to hide under. If that makes sense. So we've got the Star card as the clarifying cards. You can see in this one, it's the beautiful dragon energy pouring those jugs into the pool, but still the tail connected into the pool. And the star, the shooting stars above. And also the wings then connecting onto the land, as well as this foot stretched out here to do so too. So it's about creating that circuit board and that healing and being able to transmute things super quick time because of this deeper connection to this divine feminine energy that is a vessel, that is a womb that can keep expanding, even in painful spaces, in order to draw that energy and channel it and change it and transmute it and share it. And so the moon card comes up as the next card, and this speaks of the two pillars at either side, opposing forces there, but everything coming in cycles, and this being a long cycle coming to a close. And however it comes to a close, however quickly or however peaceably or however powerfully or however destructively it comes to a close, is very much in our hands too. There are immovable forces coming through, of course, but we can draw up on those immovable forces and project them. We can transmute them with that star card and inject them into various circuit boards in different ways to create a very different ending to a cycle. Or we can be fooled into going to one pillar or the next and not the middle balanced ground, the discerning ground, into another repeat. So we go just like from World War II to here, we go from here to World War IV, you know, we go in that cycle yet again. But the illusion is so strong. And I think not just from an intentful negative space, when I was speaking about that divine feminine energy being somewhat as dark as the depths of the sea, a lot of the time I'm seeing that people are struggling and still trying to fit this ancient energy into very manipulated and conformed lenses to look at it through. And it doesn't fit. So when it doesn't fit that lens that we've been manipulated and conformed to have, then it very often becomes frightening, or ego gets in the way. So it is then labeled as dark or evil, when actually it isn't. Just, it's an ancient energy that is not meant to be encapsulated or channeled through a conformed and manipulated lens. So it doesn't fit. So our own illusions of this ancient divine feminine energy are also present, as well as the very manipulated and controlled illusions and perceptions that are being put out there right now, particularly regarding the territory of a woman, of a woman's body, of the territory of her physical body, her spiritual body, her emotional body, her consciousness body, just the reflection of the divine feminine throughout the different aspects of existence being really skewed and distorted. So again, be careful who you're following and be careful who you're judging and by what lens, and what you're judging and by what lens. This creating a conflict. Be ready, if you are channeling this energy, to be triggering people like a motherfucker, in that with this other Five of Wands coming up here, it feels like the poltergeist energy with a prepubescent teen walking through somewhere. You're not projecting anything but love, all-inclusive love, and it's like you've got people throwing balls at you, and you've got people like crashing vases down in front of you and putting the cross up to you to try and siphon off some of that powerful energy. And you're like, oh, I'm just coming in here with love. I didn't knock that over. I didn't do that. But your energy is, these people around you want to create conflict over that, because it's like they're walking into a microwave. They're walking into something that makes all of the particles within them start to do this chaotic dance. And often the self-combustion will happen right in front of you. And so again, that divine feminine energy moving there with the moon and creating waves and flames. With the Five of Coins coming in as the next card, that's another five again. So this conflict, whatever this conflict might be in your personal life, the people around you, to the wider stage, again, there's this real drive and need and want to deliver people through conflict into this lack mentality, to burst this perceptive bubble of lack right now would be one of the huge game changers of just how negative and chaotic this ending of this cycle has to get, in that if some needs were being met for people to be able to truly see that there is no lack, it is all manipulation, that would be a game changer, because most of this construct has been built on a lack in ability to be divine enough to connect straight to the connected source, to the all, to not need the middleman of the church. The lack mentality over, you know, you've only got so much money, you can only have so much food. And all of these layers of lack of being illusions built on top of a physical reality that doesn't even, it's not even made friends. Land never made friends with lack. It never made friends with it. It never agreed to the contracts that are being signed in its name as to the ownership of said land. It never got into that. It never, and it still doesn't now. It lets its weeds grow when its weeds grow. It lets its crops grow when its crops grow. And it accepts nurturing from farmers and people alike without question. Soil never questions whether you really mean it from the heart when you give it nutrients, when you give it water, or when you redirect water that it has within it, but to a needed place. It doesn't even say thank you, it just utilizes the abundance that keeps coming in the best way possible for it at that time. It's not storing those nutrients up and in the worry that nutrients might never come back. It accepts its abundant nature and it expects abundance back. And it gets it. The birds join in with that dance, the bees join in with that dance. It's only these scripts, these pieces of paper, these few in power that have actually created any lack. So that's going to be a huge storyline, and a lot of you are going to be the chaos to that storyline and be chaotic in that aspect. Move those particles into self-combustion without even trying, but conversely trying with all your might to channel that divine feminine abundant nature that is in such abundance right now. There's a lot there. I'm going to leave it there because I've rambled on and it's a bit of a long one to come straight back into, but I wanted to share the energies with you. I'm really happy with the messages that came out. They resonate for me for sure. And I hope I've clarified them enough, but leave a comment. Let me know the energies that you are feeling. Hit me up. I'm gonna start replying to those comments this weekend, hopefully from past videos too. So you all know I love to reply back and hear from you and have a conversation about how you're finding the energies and what resonated with you with the reading, or how you saw those energies but reflected in a different way in your life. Booking a reading, it's truedivinemedia@gmail.com. If you want to book in a reading, send me a message there, or drop me a private message on Telegram, maybe might be the best one, and we'll hook you up. I can get you sorted, and lots of other plans coming down the pipeline, so hopefully I'm going to catch you all at a live this weekend to discuss some options as to services and how we can seriously get together. You know, how I can create viable business, but also do it in a way that is helpful to the divinities being put back in their rightful spaces within us, within each and every one of us, and getting creating to changing the way things are. Much love, balance, and wholeness. I appreciate you all, love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.